Good morning, guys. How's it going out there? Hope you all are safe, and hope you all are out there making some good money, making it worthwhile for you. I don't have a whole lot going on today. It's just a real easy drive. I make the same drive every day, pretty much every day anyways. Probably not going to do any, if not, I mean, I might do a couple, but shots of the road, because they're all the same thing. It's I-80 through Pennsylvania. It's a gorgeous state, but there's just only so much you can do when you do the same run every day and every week. Today's topic, though, I do kind of want to talk a little bit about the new bill that's being brought forth, that was brought up last week, about allowing, basically doing away with the state's ability to dictate gun laws in each individual state, and it's going to be a federal issue instead. Which, I know a lot of it's, guns are obviously a very sore topic for a lot of people. You've got the left and you've got the right, and there are, believe it or not, I mean, I'm obviously a conservative. I'm more to the right, but I do understand a lot of the left views. However, when it comes to guns, those that are very strict proponents of stricter gun control, I think, are just clueless. I don't want to, come off as rude about them. I don't want to, I come from a family of liberals, so it's kind of odd that I am a conservative. But I guess I just, all my friends have been conservative. I've just been a rough and tough, blue-collar, hard-working, getting greasy under the hood kind of guy, and so I've just always kind of leaned towards, the majority of those kinds of people lean towards, and at least in my experience, the majority of those people lean towards more conservatism, and to me, it just makes more sense. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. But the topic about, doing away with states' abilities to dictate gun laws is a very crucial and important step, I believe, in truck driver safety. Now, I know people on the right are going to say, that's right. It's, we need to be able to legally carry guns in the truck from state to state. People on the left are going to say that's absurd. How can you say that you're going to be safer if if truckers are going to be carrying? Obviously you're going to have it from both ways. And to save time, I'm going to talk more so from the right and my specific opinions on this whole ordeal. As a truck driver, we drive into some very hairy neighborhoods. We drive through bad areas in Chicago, which, the gun rate there is absurd, which I know, blah, blah, blah. They get the guns from other states, even though the gun control in Chicago is out of this world, and it's got the highest gun rate, pretty much, I think, in per capita, I think, in the whole country. Here's the facts: it's dangerous to drive through Chicago as a truck driver. When you're, especially at night, it's dangerous. Of course, yes, I'm speaking anecdotally. Each individual is different. There are statistics to go by, I realize that, but as an individual driver, it is dangerous to drive through places like Chicago at night, places like Memphis. You get out of your truck at a truck stop in Memphis. There's been a number of shootings at truck stops in Memphis. There's been a number of shootings at truck stops everywhere. A lot of the issues, though, are, there have been drivers that have been shot at by four-wheelers, and they have no way to defend themselves. A truck can't outmaneuver a four-wheeler, so he's just a bump on a log. And they have, we have no way. If somebody's firing at us, we have no way to avoid it. There's issues where we might have to make a delivery in one of these, bad areas of town, Detroit, Chicago, Memphis, you name it, and we have to go there and take our break in this part of town. So we're there at night asleep, or relaxing in the sleeper or what have you. We get robbed. We get held up at gunpoint. We have, zero chance to defend ourselves without equal opportunity to fight back. And the gun is the great neutralizer. I know that's unpopular. I understand, you know, that, yeah, if we could live in a utopia where nobody had guns, that would be fantastic. But the truth is, we can't. We have enough guns in this country now where no matter what laws we have, criminals will always have access to these guns. Therefore, if you take away the right of law-abiding citizens to carry these guns legally and a means to defend themselves and their families, you're not helping the situation. You're not at all helping the situation. And again, I could go into so many, there's so many avenues I could branch off of here, but I'm trying to keep it more specific into the trucking niche. You know, there was a story not too long ago about a truck driver who was taking his break in a pretty bad part of Detroit, waiting for the plant to open up the next morning so he could deliver his load. Some thugs, yes, I said thugs. I don't know if they were black. I don't know if they were white. So get off your high horse. Thug is not a racial term. Some thugs attacked his truck. They shot at him, and then they set fire to his truck, and he couldn't get out. You know, I mean, at least if he had something to fight back with, he could have tried to get out of the truck. But he knew that there were people out there with guns, and the truck was on fire. He was in an oven. He couldn't go anywhere. The second he stepped out of that truck, he would have been shot dead anyway. So he had not a chance in hell to save himself. And that one struck home to me. That one struck really close to home to me, because at that time, we were expecting our firstborn, and he was a year younger than me. He was expecting his firstborn. He had been married to his wife for the exact same amount of time as I have, or had been married to my wife. It was just so identical to my life, you know. Younger, I mean, you know, he was about 29, you know, I was about 29, and he'd been driving truck for roughly the same amount of time as I had, and I've been driving since April of 08, and he was just shot dead and cooked alive in his truck. I assume maybe he was shot before, maybe he was killed before they set fire to his truck. I don't know. But the point is, he had no fighting chance in hell. None. And so his daughter was born without a father. And it was just a sad story all the way around. Now, what this bill is going to do is allow truck drivers to carry from state to state and not have to worry about, and I mean, this is for everybody, but I'm speaking specifically in the trucking niche, because I'm a truck driver. Now, what this bill is going to do is allow those of us in trucks that go state to state, we won't have to worry about each individual state laws, which is what keep the majority of us from carrying in the first place. I mean, yeah, there's company policies and things like that, but legally a truck driver can carry so long as the state that he or she is driving through allows it. But there are so many states, though, that don't allow you to carry. You know, if you are going to transport your gun, your firearm and your ammunition have to be separate, and they have to be in completely separate compartments of the vehicle. You know, and it's hard to know, you know, when you're driving through 48 states, it's hard to know what state is what, you know. I mean, it's hard to keep track of every state. You know, so it keeps a lot of drivers from arming themselves, even if they do have a CCW, because they don't want to deal with the legal ramifications if they get pulled over in a state that's not gun friendly and they have a gun on them. That's the biggest fear of a lot of truck drivers that have guns that decide not to carry them on the road, because they're legal. They're law-abiding citizens, and they don't want to break the law. You know, they don't want to risk going to jail and not being able to provide for their family. So they're putting their own health and their own well-being at risk, because they have no way to defend themselves other than a little pocket knife or a tire thumper, and that just doesn't cut it. this bill allows us not to have to worry about that. And I don't just, they're the only defense, or the only, rebuttals I'm seeing to this are people that are just basically coming out and straight up acknowledging that they are just purely anti-gun. They don't have a leg to stand on anymore, because the argument from us is that we just simply want to be able to defend ourselves and our families. I don't know what plausible argument there is against that. The Second Amendment is about our right to self-preservation, our right to defend ourselves, our right to, defend ourselves against a government, a government, you know what I mean? God, the word just slipped my mind. It's there to give us the ability to defend ourselves, and because, again, like I said, guns are the great neutralizer. Okay, they really are. When the bad guys do have the guns, there's no other way to combat that other than, yes, the cliche term, the good guy with a gun. And there really are good guys with guns out there. It's unquestionable. And the majority of the truck drivers are simply abiding by the laws. So that's why they don't carry out here, because they are afraid of being they're afraid of being in a state, unknowingly to themselves, afraid of being in a state that doesn't acknowledge their right to carry, which is preposterous. The right to carry is in the Second Amendment. People like to say, well, that you have a right to have a gun in your house. Well, your right to self-defense and your right to self-preservation doesn't end at your front door. It just doesn't. And it's foolish. It's for anybody to even suggest that it does. God, there's so many avenues. I've got so many things popping up in my head right now that I'd like to talk about with it, but it just goes off into the weeds in relation to trucking. So I just wanted to keep it trucking related, because I know this is going to be a sore topic. But what that bill basically does is it just gives us a better chance. I'm not saying it's foolproof, but it gives us a better chance at defending ourselves in the case of an emergency where we find ourselves under an attack. And it does happen. It does happen out here. And this is our home when we're not at home. So we have to be able to have the ability to protect ourselves in our own home. I just don't see a logical argument against it. Every argument against this bill, because it's not making it easier for anybody to have guns. It's not opening up any kind of a loophole or anything like that. It's simply allowing people to carry guns from state to state without worrying about each individual state's laws. But it's not making it easier to go out and buy a gun. It's not making it easier, it's not doing away with the background checks. It's not, everybody that legally has a gun goes through a background check. And everybody that has a CCW goes through another background check. They go through a very strict interview with law enforcement, with the sheriff of your county or what have you. They go through a pretty strict interview before they actually process your application. So not only did you go through a background check to acquire the firearm, but you are now going through a background check and an interview with a law enforcement officer, with an elected official, mind you, the sheriff. You are going through a background check with him, an interview with him, before they even process your application to get your CCW. And I don't see the issue with allowing people that have gone through that process to carry from state to state. It's not making anything easier for the quote-unquote gun nut. It's not making it any easier for those of us that simply appreciate the Second Amendment. It's not making it easier for us to buy a gun. It's not making it easier for us to carry a gun or to have the ability to carry the gun. It's making it simply plausible to carry the gun from state to state. But you know, if you've passed 2 background checks and an interview with the sheriff with a sheriff in your state, then why is it, you know, why would your behavior be any different in another state? So I don't know. I hope the bill passes. I hope that, you know, it really could be a very good positive for the trucking industry as far as safety goes, because there's just too much crap out here anymore. There really is. And we need to do something about it. We need to be able to defend ourselves. And yeah, there's company policy. And when you go into a shipper or receiver, you'll see signs most of the time that say they reserve the right to search any vehicle on the premise at any random time. But I've been driving almost 10 years and I've never had my vehicle searched. The only time I had my vehicle searched was in southern Texas by State Patrol, because they thought that I was smuggling illegal immigrants. That's a whole other topic. You know, they had me on the side of the road for 2 hours, and they literally said that they thought my truck was too nice for the area and it didn't make sense for it to be there. So they wanted to search the truck. I gave them permission. That was a long time ago. But, you know, they reserve the right to search a truck. However, I've never had it done. And, you know, company policy, and most companies, the majority of companies, if you're a company driver, then, you know, the company's policy is no guns in the trucks. That's company policy. You know, you can't refute that. That's the company policy. You know, but if you're an owner, if you're an owner operator, you can carry, you know, according to the state's laws that you're in. You know, because it's your truck. You make the rules. And, you know, as far as the companies go, they might say you can't carry a gun, but they never check. And my motto is, and you know, whether or not I carry or I don't carry, that's up for anybody to guess. But my motto is, if I need the gun, I would rather save my own life and have a chance to come home and see my family again, and risk being fired because I defended myself, than be a sitting duck for somebody that has a gun and uses it on me because I have no way to defend myself. Anyways, with that said, I know I rambled quite a bit on this one because, like I said, my mind, there were hundreds of avenues that my mind wanted to go off onto, and I'd start to go off onto one avenue, and then I'd try to reel myself back in because it's just, you know, it's just not, it wasn't privy to the topic at hand. So I just wanted to keep it trucking related as best as I could. And, you know, again, there's going to be debate about that, but, you know, about, you know, from, you know, the left and the right and blah blah blah. But that's just my stance, and that's my opinion on that bill, and I do hope it passes because I do think that it will help the safety of the law-abiding citizens. It will help the safety of the law-abiding citizen truck drivers out here. So with that said, guys, I don't know if I'll have any more clips or not coming up, but if I don't, I hope you all have a good day out there and be safe on that road. Again, safety is key. Be safe out there on that road so you can go home and see your family again. All right, guys, take her easy.